this video we will discuss about the heterotrophic bacteria. So as you can see on the previous video we discussed about the autotrophic bacteria. So they are having ability to synthesize their own organic compound from the, you can say, the different compounds. So if we talk about the heterotrophic bacteria, so the heterotrophic bacteria are basically cannot synthesize their own you can say that the compounds, organic compounds from the simple compounds. Okay, so they depend or they rely or they depend on the organic compounds present in the environment. Okay, so they are not capable to synthesize their own food. Okay, because they don't contain the photosynthetic pigment. That is the reason in photosynthetic bacteria. Okay, so they depend on the other living beings. So if we talk about heterotrophic, so that is divided into the parasites and the saprotrophs. Okay, if we talk about the parasites, so parasites, which means in parasites we are having the two, you can say that you can say the groups. First of all is the obligate parasites and second is the facultative parasites. Okay, so if we talk about the obligate parasites, so they completely, you can say that depend on the host. And if you talk about the facultative, they do not depend on the host. So parasites are that basically you can say that that is harmful for the host cell. Okay, so they basically that is harmful for the host cell. Okay, so they are parasitic in the nature and they live or within the body of living organism. Okay, and they are pathogenic. Okay, and cause a disease in the living organism. Okay, so they are pathogenic, they are harmful for human beings. So if we talk about the example of the pathogenic bacteria are the vibrio cholera. Okay, so that is used for this, that is basically the disease that is occurred by the vibrio cholera is basically the high fever, and we are having the diplococcus. Okay, diplococcus or staphylococcus. Diplococcus is like this and staphylococcus is in the chain. So if we talk about the diplococcus bacteria, so they are basically cause the pneumonia in our body. So these are harmful, which means they are pathogenic. Okay, so if we talk about the you can say that this was about the parasitic. Okay, so they contain the extensive enzyme. Okay, saprotroph I'm talking about, so that we were also discussing. But if you talk about the parasitic bacteria, they basically obtain their own food from the host. So parasitic bacteria are basically, you can say that, pathogenic and disease causing bacteria. Okay, so if you talk about the saprotrophs, yes, saprotrophs bacteria, so these bacteria are decomposer. Okay, and they obtain the food from the dead organism. Okay, so that are we are calling as the decomposer. They obtain the food from the decaying humus, we are calling that is dead organism. They obtain the food from that. Okay, and they release an enzyme. Many different type of enzyme can be left. The protein is there, so they will release a protease enzyme. So they release an enzyme which convert complex material into the simple material. Okay, and they absorb them as a nutrients. Okay, like for example the dead body is there, so they will be going and they will be absorbed all the nutrients. Okay, so that is called the decomposers. So if you talk about the example, so that can be the azotobacteria. Okay, azotobacteria, basically nitrifying bacteria, they fix the nitrogen and they are not symbionts, which means you can say that if symbionts are basically what, or the mutualist is what, that both species are getting benefit, but they are basically not giving any kind of a benefit to others. Okay, so they are nitrifying bacteria, they fix the nitrogen. And as well as we are having the example, that is a bacillus mycetes. Okay, so saprotroph bacteria are basically having the enzyme that break down the, you can say that, complex substance into the, you can say that, the simpler compounds. Okay, and they basically absorb the simple compounds and they get the nutrients. So this was about the saprotrophs and the parasites. So these were both were the group of the heterotroph bacteria. So after the next video we'll discuss about the growth and the reproduction in the bacteria.